It's 2020, the first year of only apocalypse energy. See my other videos, see the apocalypse playlist. This is going to go on until 2089, so that's 70 more years, yeah? About 60, because the last 10 years of the apocalypse, there'll be a slide and a return into nature. It's not just going to be in the last year, right? That whole last decade, people will start to figure out around the world really and pointing back into nature, right? I expect a lot of biomimicry, a lot of, natural eating, food plants, finally. Imagine me with the food plant teaching series having to wait the next 60 years watching most people in the world die when they could just plant food plants. Imagine how I feel right now. Imagine how stupid everyone looks to me. Just take my position for a minute. Food plant teacher just can walk around the neighborhood picking up plants, going, oh, that's that, I can eat this. And I'm going to watch for the next 50, 60 years people just die in ignorance, going, oh, I'm starving. What's a food plant? What? Food comes from plants? What do you mean? It comes from the supermarket. Imagine me for the next 50 years. Anyway, so I was just having the thought this afternoon of just thinking about it, that 60% roughly, right? About 60% of the human race from the current numbers now, I'm going to speak about it in a minute, will die. So 60% of humans from now are going to perish during the apocalypse. Here's how it is though, because it's going to be not like easy to see, because it's not like tomorrow everybody's going to stop having babies, right? People are still going to have babies, so it's difficult to kind of work out. But I'm going with 60% for sure, like unequivocally. I've got absolutely no doubt at 60%. It could be 65, 70, it could be 55. I don't even think below 60. To be honest, I think it's definitely 60, 65 or 70. Because the elites, right, the Agenda 21, the world culling, all these viruses, blah, 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 the robots are going to take all the jobs, all this stuff. Things are going to go hyperinflation within a scarcity-based system. I don't think most of you, or any of you maybe, are taking this into consideration the way I have for the last 5 years thinking about this. But I'm concluded now. I'm 100% sure, not even 99%. Completely confident 60% of people will not make it. 100% sure. I'm completely confident. So here's how it is though, because people are not going to stop having babies, right? So there's still going to be people born into the world and all that. So that's the only reason it's a rough number. I'm pretty sure that number is the number set in stone. Remember, I'm the person who created the quote, "The future is set in stone, the stone," because you know how there's that quote, "The future is not set in stone"? That's bullshit. That's shitty philosophy. That was an organic portal philosophy from someone who has no contact with the universe, because the Philosopher's Stone, right, which, God, I have to make a whole lecture on it. I cannot summarize it right now. The way I will summarize it is the logic mind of the earth is a good enough. That is not even how to explain it at all, right? But that's the only way I'm going to explain it right now. Briefly, I'm going to make a whole hour-long, 2-hour-long lecture on what the hell the Philosopher's Stone is, so everybody can understand it. But it's like something you gather up in reality, made of light, not a stone that turns, lead to gold. Not just that, anyway. But so here's how it goes. If everybody tomorrow stopped having babies and there was no more humans born, then statistically you would literally see out of 7 billion people, 4 billion perish over the next 60 years. If there was no people having more babies. Do you understand? If everything just stopped right now, no more human reproduction, you would see within the next 50, 60 years, about the next 50 years, 60% of the human population would walk themselves into self-destruction via their own ignorance, the inability to see upstream what's coming. For instance, now, how many of you are preparing for robots to take your job? It's 100% inevitable. Next decade, not in 20 years, the robots are going to take, I don't know how many percentages of jobs. I've seen some interesting figures. I've seen some people say 40%, other people say 60%. I really can't tell you right now, but I know it's going to be a lot. And if we on this channel, we talk about organic portals. So if we take the 75% thing, right? Some people say more than half of all humans are soulless. I'm saying that it's 75% are base NPCs. This also requires its own lecture. This is, top level speak here. This is, I don't want to divot into each meaning, because really each thing like that I can do, a lecture on, like a half-hour lecture or something on, or an hour lecture. But basically, 75% of people do not have vision. Okay, so that's how I'll summarize it. Not necessarily soulless or this or that, but if 75% of people do not have inner dialogue, and 75% of people are thus, spiritless humans, they're the visionless people. There's no vision. They cannot see upstream, or they don't admit it. They are the ego. Right? I express ego because I express super ego. That's why all of you always have a problem with me, because I'm expressing super ego, and I'm doing several lectures on that, because that's id, steward of the light body, or spirit relative, actually. Anyway, so I'm going to have to do lectures on all that. But if tomorrow human reproduction stopped and everything kept going the way it is, and the apocalypse is obviously a planned thing by the universe, yeah, then you've got the elites doing all their stuff, the family of dark, which sets up the structure for the family of light to find their way home and traverse through to the family of love. So they're going to come with viruses after viruses. The next the next SARS will probably be just as quick spreading, but have a higher mortality rate. It might not even be SARS. It might be just a different coronavirus. It could be a different family of virus altogether. But they're not going to stop. Like, we know the Georgia Guidestones, right? The Georgia Guidestones say 500 million, 500 million. Well, that's, I don't even know what is that. It's like 80% or something, isn't it? Just roughly off the top of my head. Guess we can work it out. We're just going off 7 billion. I know there's more. Right? Settle down. It's at 700 million. 7 billion. How do we work this out? This is embarrassing. It's been so long since I've done math. So how do you get 500 million from here? Oh, let's do times 80%. Let's just see what that does. Times 80%. What's that? 5 million. Wait. Oh, that's wrong. Give me a second. I've forgotten how to do math. Right, what number have I got here? 100,000 million. Yeah, that's 7 billion. So what is, not 80, 20%. 20% of that. Right, so it's even less. Let's do 10%. So that's 700 million. That's around it. So it's going to be like 8%. 7.5. Oops. Wait a minute. 7%. Well, there you go, 7.5%. Oh, geez, that'll do. Look, that's 500 million, right? So that means, let's just go off 7% there. So there's 500 million, that's what the Georgia Guidestones say, right? They say 500 million is what the elites want to get the world down to so that they have their bloodlines, right? The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody else who is not those elite bloodlines is just their slaves so that they can live in harmony with nature, right? That's allegedly the whole idea behind the Georgia Guidestones and the killing or culling of the human race for the benefit of these few elite families, right? That's called the Georgia Guidestones. If you don't know about it, you really should research it, because most likely your bloodline is not included. So that's the point of all this. They're wiping out every other bloodline, right? That's what it boils down to. So 7%, right, is 93% of people are going to die. Do you see that? That means 93%. Or let's just go with a rough figure of they want to kill 95% of all humans. That's essentially what the Georgia Guidestones at this population of 7 billion state. If we were at 8 billion, it would be a different percentage. We just so happen to be at like 7.5 billion people, right? We're at about 7.5 billion people. So, I mean, we could even make it more accurate if you guys are going to whinge. See, it's still about the same anyway, right? So it's roughly 90 to 95% of the human race that these elite families, psychopaths, want to kill. These are the demon bloodlines. These are, the real demons, the higher up Masons, the 99 degrees and all that. So the 33-degree Freemasons, they're idiots. They think they're going to live like immortal and, be part of the crew of New Earth. No. They don't seem to get it, It's only the top, top Illuminati, top Masons that are really going to be the elite families who are like gods, and then everybody else is their slave. Essentially, that's the idea. So 7%, the opposite of that is 93%, so it's just roughly 90%, right? So let's just go with the 60% I said, which would be 40%. So that's if I'm, correct, just by the apocalypse. Not really, because the Illuminati, they're not in control. The universe is in control of them, yeah? This is what people don't understand or don't admit to, or, I don't know, some of you just think that they control reality. No. They are, agents for reality of the family of dark. Okay, that's the real truth. The universe controls things, right? It seems like they do, but they're agents on behalf of the universe for the family of dark, which sets up the structure and just seems to have very, very nefarious motif. So if I'm right, then it's 40, so the other side is 60% die, right? It's roughly 4.5 billion people. Now that may seem rough, and Ben, that's far-fetched. But remember what we just went over. Their actual plans, right, are this. Right, that's their plans. That's what they, spend all the Bilderberg groups, every meeting, every year, talking about shit like this. Right? What's the next virus? How are we going to, set up the future to control them? And then this is what you're maybe not taking into account. Once there's more control, it's even easier to kill you. When we move to cryptocurrency and blockchain, every transaction is monitored. They know Benjamin Kallenberg this morning went to 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee. All right, let's spike his Slurpee because we own that 7-Eleven. I mean, it's that easy for them. as the numbers dwindle down, as the wealth continues always to move up, the more godlike they become, the less we can do about it. Soon they're going to have a robot army, like the movie RoboCop, go around knocking door to door looking for vigilantes, not vigilantes, rebels, and, with mechas, those big robots, like the movie RoboCop. It's like the start of the movie RoboCop. That's all for sure reality. That's like in a decade or two. We're going to actually see all this stuff. So, I mean, my point is over the next 6 decades, 7 decades, that's their plans too. They're not planning to do this all overnight, right? The Georgia Guidestones does not say, in 2021, we're just going to like drop some bombs, atomic bombs, pollute the world and go underground. I mean, I know about the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases. I get it. That's not their plan, to just pollute everything, drop bombs. I mean, that's probably their, last resort or something. No doubt they've got that drawn up in their plans, but they won't do that. I really don't think they're going to do that. It's possible that there's a short nuclear war, very possible, but, and I don't know when I would expect that. Not sure if next decade or the 2040s or 2050s. It would be in these decades though. I would not expect it after the 2050s, like a short nuclear war. I'd expect it before the 2050s. So I mean, they don't plan to do it overnight, right? But it's a slow process. Because the point is that, the reason that they don't just do it all overnight is because it would alarm people. The more they set off alarms, the more pardon me, the more they set off alarms in people's minds, right? They want to do it all behind the scenes. The more they set off alarms in everybody's mind, the more chance that their plans will be foiled, will be fouled and foiled, you see. So they do want to do it like in secret. That's obvious, right? Anyway, there's my little talk on how you're all going to die. Please subscribe. Far out. Sorry to be the messenger. Please don't shoot the messenger.